District does not have an application on file. The action of the Board of Supervisors on this item when it comes back to you at a later date does not result in an air quality permit being issued. That is an entirely separate process. As you may know, we go through our hearing board if there is a public appeal of a permit. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask the audience, we need hearing board members. We really do. If this project comes forward and we don't have a hearing board, we've got a real problem. I've already asked the state how we proceed with that. I have yet to get an answer. We have been involved in this project in its various guises, I think, since 2004. Prior to that, we were involved with the Kiewit Pacific plant that was on North State Street. Our permit process would typically proceed after a land use entitlement was granted, and our permit process would involve BACT, and it would involve federal permitting. I think there's been a little misinformation that's been put out there on that. Our standards are just as strict for this facility as standards anywhere in the United States. We would have to rely either on this CEQA document or a future CEQA document. One of the difficulties, and Leonard I'm sure can address this, and we've wrestled with it as we've reviewed various drafts and reports, is that we don't have an actual equipment list at this time because the applicant hasn't bought the equipment. Once he has an actual equipment list, we can look at actual emissions. As it is, we have to use a document called AP 42, which is the EPA standards, and those are based on the averages of asphalt plants all around the country, some of which are quite old, such as the plant in Ukiah, some of which are quite new, such as the plant in Longvale. The Longvale facility is not closed. That is apparently some misinformation as well. That facility has a valid permit, and it can operate at any time. Let me rush through this real quick. I have a few seconds left. We also have the AB 2588 process, which is the hotspots process. It's not something that has been very public in this county in the past, but any facility that is releasing air toxics has to do a health risk analysis. They have to look at things such as locations to schools, and we have to have accurate information about where there are schools located. We have not received that information from Levita in the past or any of our charter schools, and I've asked for it repeatedly. This information is used to decide if there is a health risk. We need all of the data, and we need to have an equipment list before we can actually do that at a very fine level of detail. And I believe that would be the summary of my comments if there's any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
Chairman. Yes.
I have a number of questions for their quality officer, but I'd like to reserve that for some time later today, if possible.
Sure.
If you can stick around.
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you, Supervisor Colfax. Any other questions for the Air Quality Management Director at this time? Okay. Next speaker, Ernie Whiff, followed by Larry Brooks.
Good day, Ernie Whiff, local contractor. I was mentioned earlier as someone that has to go out of the county to get hot mix on pretty much a regular basis this time of year. The local hot plant that is now running doesn't run on a schedule that normally would fit our schedule. I think that this project will reduce truck traffic considerably as far as the transportation of the material now from the quarry to the places that provide the finished product. And I believe the EIR addresses that. I find it, and I do have to say that I find it rather appalling, I guess would be the way I'd have to put it, to because of the fact that there is no cheerleading here for this project that we bring our children to.
Please address the EIR.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whiff. Larry Brooks, followed by Richard Campbell, I believe is the name.
Hello, everyone. I also am a local contractor that I've grew up all my life here in this area, and I've placed asphalt for 25 years. Ever since I was in high school, I've been working with asphalt products, and I think that environmentally, I feel that I'm very environmentally, I have 5 children, and I'm also concerned with the environment and what's going on with these new plants and stuff like that. But, you know, I worked for Parnham Paving, now that it's Granite, for years, and they have a plant down on North State Street that has been there for, you know, 40 years, so, you know, 45 years. There's been some sort of asphalt plant there. And they're by a mobile home park, and they're by, you know, residential areas there. And I think a lot of these issues that people have, which I know are by, you know, they're right on having these kind of issues on health. I don't think over 40 years, any of these issues have been, you know, chromium poisoning from people. I don't think that there's been, you know, asthma issues in our, you know, we've had a model plant here for 40 years. It's probably I know it's in state compliance with all this stuff, and I feel that it's, you know, we haven't had any of these red flags come up yet. And I think that, you know, the proposed plant is not going to cause any environmental issues up there. I think that, you know, asphalt, oil, everybody freaks out about oil. It's not a water soluble, it's a hardened oil. It doesn't just penetrate the ground and go into the water table. You know, it's got to be heated at 350 degrees, and then it's pliable, but as soon as it cools, it stops. It's done. You know, I'm living proof. I've been in the smoke. I've had a lot of asphalt run underneath my feet at 300-something degrees. I've placed it on the roads. I'm healthy. I have a lot more issues of being in the mix of asphalt and, you know, I don't live 50 miles away from it, or 2 miles away, or 200 feet away. I've been right in the mix of it at 300-something degrees. I see more of the smoke, the fumes than anybody, and I'm healthy, and I'm concerned with my health. I want to live as long as anybody here does. I want my family to be healthy, and I have the same concerns, so I think there's no problem with it. I think a lot of these issues are issues that we have federal and state law compliance. You know, we're in compliance with these type of particulates and all that. And I think that's how we have to look at it. We already have these issues in place, and I think that, you know, they're going to stay in compliance with that. I believe that. So, thanks.
Thank you. Richard Campbell.
My name is Richard Campbell. I'm here as a private citizen, but I work for Coyote Valley Tribe as the environmental director, and I came in late on this project, and I'm sorry that but I've read some of the studies of the asphalt quarry and so forth. And my concern is the air quality as far as what the pollutants will be putting out. I know the study says they'll be in the standards, but sometimes the standards aren't the right standards you need for air quality and the environment. I understand that there will be some water runoff on this project. There's going to be, and that water runoff with all the pollutants in it is going to be down into Forsyth Creek, not only in the groundwater also. But my concern there is the fact that spawning goes up that creek. We have spawning, and we do fish on that creek, and we don't want to see any increased pollutants in the fish because we do eat the fish, and that's my main concern is there. And I also find it appalling that this representatives here is considering even having this plant opened up as an asphalt plant, because you're talking about a wilderness area, as to say, and my concern is the pollutants, air quality, transportation that it's going to cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. That finishes comment cards that I have before me. Are there others wishing to speak? Please come forward with your cards. Estelle Clifton.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, thank you for taking my last-minute comment. My comment is in regards to the air quality, and is my understanding that the county and state require